Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into some pretty fascinating and maybe unsettling stuff today.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're going to be exploring the Zulu mythology,
Okay.
and specifically the legend of the
The
Chitauri.
Chitauri, right?
Yeah. Sometimes described as, well, lizard people.
Yeah, lizard people. Those beings have kind of captured the imagination of a lot of people, even become, like, central figures in some modern conspiracy
Oh,
theories.
yeah, for sure.
It's a topic that it gets people going.
For sure. And our journey into this mystery, well, it kind of all starts with this guy named Credo Mutwa.
Okay.
He was a Zulu shaman and sculptor, and he claimed to have actually encountered these beings. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, his story's pretty well known in certain circles.
Yeah. It seems to resonate with people who are fascinated by the idea of these powerful, hidden forces at play in the world.
Hmm.
I mean, who hasn't wondered if there's more to reality than meets the eye?
Right. It's a question that's intrigued humans for centuries, really.
Hmm.
And Mutwa's story, while extraordinary, it offers this really unique perspective on this whole mystery.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's 1959, and Mutwa is in the mountains of South Africa, just searching for herbs.
Okay.
All of a sudden, he finds himself engulfed in this strange blue mist.
Oh, that's interesting. The mysterious mist. It's a pretty recurring element in a lot of these abduction stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, being transported to another dimension.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then he claims he was taken aboard a spacecraft,
All right.
and he describes seeing these small, gray beings with large heads, black eyes.
Right. The classic gray alien.
Yeah. But then things take an even more interesting turn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what happens? Well, he describes encountering this taller being dressed in what he perceived as a gray suit,
Okay.
clawed hands, and most notably, like slit-pupiled eyes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were visible behind, like, dark coverings.
So almost like they were trying to hide their true appearance?
Yeah, like they were disguised.
That's so interesting, especially that detail about the eyes. I
Yeah.
think that connects to a really common fear.
Yeah.
Like, things are not always what they appear.
It definitely adds to the creepiness factor, right?
That is, yeah.
Okay, but there's this other detail I found really strange.
What's that?
Kind of funny in a weird way.
Good.
Mutwa claimed that the small gray aliens reacted violently to his urine.
What?
Really? Like it was some kind of weakness.
Huh. That's so strange. But if we take it at face value, it does suggest this vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Even in these beings with supposedly, advanced technology,
Right.
it reminds us that, even the most powerful forces might have these unexpected weaknesses.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what else we might be misunderstanding about these beings.
Okay, but it gets weirder.
Okay, weirder how. He also describes encountering this beautiful woman, pale skin, blonde hair, and dissecting. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
A tail.
A tail. Wow. That aligns with other accounts of reptilian humanoids, actually. Yeah, particularly that emphasis on beauty as a tool,
Oh, interesting.
like for manipulation or deception.
Yeah.
It plays into this really deep-seated fear,
Mm.
like hidden agendas and ulterior motives.
That's like straight out of a movie.
It is, yeah.
So after all of this, Mutwa wakes up back in the forest, injured, disoriented.
Okay.
But he claims that he acquired new skills,
Like what?
especially in sculpture.
Huh.
And he had this knowledge of advanced technology implanted in his mind.
Oh, wow. That raises a really interesting question, though.
What's that?
Like, what are the implications of implanted knowledge?
Yeah,
Are we talking about mind control, technological enhancement?
right.
I don't know. It challenges us to think about the boundaries of free will,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the potential for external forces to influence our thoughts, our actions.
It's wild stuff.
Yeah.
Really wild.
So let's unpack this a bit more. We've heard Mutwa's personal account, but let's zoom out a little.
Okay.
Explore what Zulu legends say about the Chitauri, where they came from.
All right, I'm ready. So stay with us.
Okay, so according to these ancient tales, the Chitauris, they arrived on Earth long ago
Okay.
and brought with them the knowledge of metalworking.
So they were like the, original tech disruptors?
Yeah, you could say that.
I mean, that's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Oh, yeah?
Metalworking really changed the course of history.
For sure. I mean, the ability to, shape and use metals
Mhm.
gave humans new tools,
Mm.
weapons, and ultimately new ways of organizing society.
Hmm.
And you know what? This whole idea of knowledge being gifted by serpent-like beings,
Yeah.
it's actually a recurring theme in a lot of creation myths.
Oh, really?
Like all around the
It's
world.
like this archetype, right, of a
Yeah,
serpent as this bringer of knowledge, but also danger.
exactly.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at the Chitauri as like a representation of this archetype, it seems like they might be more on the dangerous side.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid interpretation, especially when you consider the Zulu legends and their motives.
Yeah, what were they after?
Well, it wasn't just about sharing knowledge.
Right.
According to these stories, the Chitauri, they were after something pretty precious.
Gold?
Gold
Gold.
and other, like, valuable metals.
Ah, so they weren't just these benevolent teachers, they were more like cosmic prospectors.
Yeah, I guess even advanced alien civilizations have their needs.
Right. I mean, everybody wants a little gold, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what were their methods like?
Well, if we're going by the legends, not exactly ethical,
Wow.
the story suggests that they actually sought to manipulate humanity.
Really? How so?
Well, by dividing us
Yeah.
through language,
Oh, wow.
provoking conflict, and even introducing a rigid social hierarchy.
It's kind of a chilling thought.
It is,
This
yeah.
idea of these beings orchestrating these huge events from behind the scenes, using us for their own gain.
It's a theme that definitely resonates with a lot of modern conspiracy theories,
Yeah, for sure.
about powerful groups controlling the world.
It makes you wonder, right? Like, are we really in control, or are there these forces that we don't even know about
Right.
that are kind of pulling the strings?
Yeah. It's a question that has plagued humanity for, like, forever.
It's a pretty bleak outlook.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a warning?
Oh, interesting. How so?
Maybe these stories are meant to remind us about the dangers of unchecked power
Okay.
and the importance of staying vigilant.
That's a really insightful perspective.
Thanks.
Myths often serve as, like, these cautionary tales,
Right.
reflecting the anxieties and concerns of the cultures that create them.
Speaking of anxieties, did you know there are even legends about an ancient war
A war.
between humans and the Chitauri?
Wow. I didn't know that.
Makes you wonder about the significance of the Zulu tribe's name, which translates to sky or travel.
That's interesting.
Could it be some ancient memory
Of what?
of this conflict,
Yeah.
A time when the lines between Earth and the cosmos were blurred?
It's a really intriguing possibility.
Yeah.
This idea that ancient myths might contain these echoes of real events, perhaps even encounters with beings from other worlds,
Right.
aligns with a lot of those theories about ancient astronauts.
Okay, now get ready for this.
Okay.
This is where things get really intense. Mutwa believed that the Chitauri feed on human bioenergy,
What?
specifically certain brainwave frequencies. And get this, he said they can even manipulate our lifespans.
That's disturbing.
I know, right?
The idea that we might be unknowingly providing sustenance for these beings,
Yeah.
that our very life force could be harnessed for their purposes.
Yeah, it's almost like a violation on a spiritual level.
It is.
And it makes you think about all the ways we're already being monitored, manipulated in the digital age.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like a modern-day version of what Mutwa was talking about.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Only instead of psychic energy, it's our data, right?
Exactly.
That's being harvested and exploited.
Interesting parallel.
So here's another mind-blowing claim. Mutwa believed that the Chitauri actually interbreed with humans
Really?
to maintain their control,
To maintain control. Wow.
suggesting that certain royal families and ruling classes are their descendants.
Now, that's a conspiracy theory.
Talk about a conspiracy theory.
The concept of these, like, hybrid beings,
Yeah.
often with hidden agendas, it's like deeply embedded in mythology and folklore, across so many cultures.
That's fascinating.
It reflects this, like, fascination, this idea of these hidden lineages
Right.
and the potential for bloodlines to carry secrets and power.
Makes you wonder, right?
It really does.
About the nature of power.
Yeah.
Who really holds it?
Are we truly masters of our own destiny?
Yeah.
Or are there these forces at play that we're only dimly aware of?
Right. I mean, these are huge questions.
They are. Yeah,
That have fascinated and troubled humans for a really long time.
definitely.
And Mutwa's story, whether we take it literally or not, it offers a really unique perspective on these age-old anxieties.
Absolutely.
And his story doesn't just end there.
Really?
He claimed that he wasn't the only one
To encounter these beings.
who encountered these beings. He said he met others who shared similar experiences.
Wow. Like who?
Well, one of the people he claimed to have met was this woman named Elizabeth Clarer.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of her.
Yeah.
Her story is pretty famous, in UFO circles.
What did she claim?
Well, she said she had a relationship with an extraterrestrial
Wow.
named Akon,
Okay.
and even described their interactions in detail and the child they supposedly had together.
Wow. That's a lot to process.
It is, yeah.
It's hard to know, like, what to make of it all.
I know, right?
But it is interesting, though,
Oh, wait.
how these types of accounts, as like out there as they seem, continue to captivate people.
They do. I think it speaks to this longing
A longing.
within us to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
To explore the mysteries of the universe and consider the possibility that we're not alone,
Right. And what I find so compelling about Mutwa's perspective is that he didn't view the Chitauri as gods.
Oh,
but rather as just another species.
with their own agenda.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that agenda, well, it might not be in humanity's best interests.
That's an important distinction, I think.
Yeah.
It shifts the perspective away from this worship or fear and encourages us to view these beings as
what?
Complex entities with their own motivations that we might not fully understand.
Right. Like they might have this super advanced technology, longer lifespans, but they're not necessarily like morally superior.
Right. Exactly.
And it's clear that Mutwa's experience really impacted him deeply.
In what way?
Well, he felt like his life was irrevocably altered.
Oh, well,
he said he no longer fully belonged to himself.
That's heavy. That feeling of alienation.
Yeah.
It's a theme in a lot of abduction stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests this potential for trauma.
Right.
And how hard it is to kind of process this experience.
Yeah.
Integrating it into your understanding of reality.
It's like his whole world was flipped upside down.
Yeah.
And he was left to try to make sense of it all.
I can't imagine.
But despite that trauma, he remained really dedicated to preserving the Zulu culture and knowledge.
That's great.
Yeah. He was known as a Sanusi.
Sanusi.
It's a Zulu term for like a traditional healer.
Oh, okay.
Or a bearer of secrets.
The Sanusis are so important in Zulu society.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're not only healers,
Okay.
but spiritual advisors.
Okay.
Diviners.
Wow.
Keepers of this ancient wisdom.
And in that role as a Sanusi Mutwa, believed that certain types of wood could actually protect against the Chitauri.
Really?
He said they were once abundant in Africa.
Interesting. That belief really connects to this idea.
I did.
Present in many indigenous cultures that, like certain plants and rituals, can provide spiritual protection. It's
like spiritual warfare almost.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Using the power of nature to ward off malevolent forces.
That's fascinating. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left with a lot to think about, that's for sure. We've got these ancient legends, alleged alien encounters, this unsettling warning about these hidden forces manipulating humanity.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
It really is. And Mutwa's story, whether we take it as literal truth or a metaphor, it challenges us to consider...
To consider what?
That maybe our understanding of the world isn't complete.
Right.
That there might be forces we don't fully comprehend.
It's mind-blowing.
It is, and it leaves us with these big questions, like how much of our reality is shaped by forces we're not aware of? What happens when we ignore these alternative perspectives?
Those questions.
Could we be missing out on vital truths? It's a lot to ponder. And that's what these deep dives are all about.
They are.
Exploring these mysteries and encouraging you to think critically about the world around us.
And beyond.
And beyond. So until next time, keep those minds open and keep questioning everything.
Sounds good to me.